Georgia Tech generating recruiting buzz. Look, it's not something I've said on the show before, but that's where we're at because the Yellow Jackets, yes, those Yellow Jackets, at the moment have a top 20 recruiting class in 2025. That's Brian Smith, our Locked On Recruiting Insider here at the network, brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. And Brian, Josh Petty is the big commitment that Georgia Tech and Brent Key and company were able to land. 5-star offensive tackle. How did he wind up down there?
He's an academic kid. Georgia Tech's a great school, and he lives like 5 minutes north of Atlanta. That's part of it. But they also did run the ball really well last year. Had a 1,000-yard rusher. Maybe they just kind of sold him on the long-term version. And again, academics were important to him. But I'm not sitting here thinking that 2 months ago there was any shot this was going to happen. Give credit to the staff for the Yellow Jackets. They were persistent because Tennessee wanted him, Ohio State, Florida State. I mean, programs that have been a lot better than them, and they won. You know what? Clap for them because that's not what anybody picked.
Yeah, and he's a guy who certainly could make an instant impact as a freshman, but like Lincoln Cure going to Kansas State, it's more about what the recruitment means than the actual player himself. Not that he isn't an incredibly talented kid. Those schools wanted him for a reason, but the fact that Georgia Tech worked themselves into a position to land one of the top offensive tackles in a recruiting cycle. This is a program that over the last couple of years, their high school recruiting classes have been outside the top 50 in all of college football, and all of a sudden they're sitting 20th right now. I don't know if they stay at 20th in the 2025 cycle, but if you're an ACC team, one of the reasons I'm talking about this on today's show as we gear up for the season, if you're an ACC team, you do not want to see Georgia Tech start to get their feet on the recruiting trail in the Atlanta area. In a couple of years, FSU and Clemson will be gone, and there's going to be a power vacuum. And it feels like Georgia Tech, with a move like this, if they make more like it, are trying to get into that upper echelon of the conference.
That is a dangerous program because of location. I mean, for those that don't know, GT is literally in the city.
Yes, of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so many prospects within a 40-mile radius. It's insane. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be the answer. There's a lot of respect for him amongst those in the industry and the media side. Recruiting's still the key, though. And beating Georgia and Tennessee, Alabama, Florida State, that's not easy. He just needs more of these. That's the first one. Need a lot more like it.
Yeah, you do. And I want to correct myself really quickly. Their overall rank, combining the transfer portal, was outside the top 50 the last couple of years. They did pull a top 35 class in the 2024 cycle, which was a significant step up, and that was kind of Brent Key's first full cycle. He was the interim. He was the full-time head coach last year, and I don't think Georgia Tech this year is a team that I see propelling themselves to the top of the conference the way an NC State or Virginia Tech could after knocking on the door previously. But I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be at the bottom. They're going to be closer to the top of this league than the bottom of it. And I just think about the long-term prospects of this program, Brian, in the Atlanta recruiting area and think, why can't they be a top third ACC team every year if Brent Key has got the T's crossed and the I's dotted?
It takes the right guy to coach there. They don't have as many majors. It's a big-time engineering school, a lot of math, business, that kind of thing. Takes the right kind of kids. But again, they won a national title in 1990 with disciplined football players. You can do it. It's been proven. Now they just got to reinvent the wheel, I guess, and go back to that because too many guys didn't recruit well. Too many guys didn't put enough effort into it. And then there was the option thing. That didn't help recruiting very much at all. So,
I mean, all respect to Paul Johnson on this show, but there did come a time where you needed to migrate away from the triple option because, the Navy, Army, and Air Forces of the world, look, they've got a decent floor at places like Air Force, but the ceiling was always pretty limited. But, I mean, Haynes King, that's a dude at quarterback. You got to cut down on the interceptions, but that's someone who you've seen since he was a high school kid. Like, good football player. You get the most out of him. You start bringing in recruits like this, you could have something.
It's nice to see somebody kind of change, too, because the ACC's pretty top-heavy. Not quite as much as the Big Ten, but Florida State, Clemson, and probably Miami Louisville, NC State. That it's going to be one of those 5 every year. Georgia Tech would be cool to see. Maybe Virginia Tech looks like they're kind of on the way back up a little bit. Maybe a little variety here. And again, Atlanta's as good a city as there is in the country for high school football in their greater metropolitan area. I'm actually going up there very soon to go watch a big-time prospect in the 26 class. There's always another guy. So if they could just get a few more of them a year, they're already competitive with teams. They beat Carolina last year. If they just got 2 or 3 more really good recruits that are of the Georgia, Tennessee variety, they could be 8-4 just like that. It's not a major switch you're going, but those players, it's just time and effort. So why not Georgia Tech?
Before I let you go, Brian, recently Deion Sanders had a press conference that didn't land well with everyone, and you said you had some thoughts on the matter. For those who didn't hear, my takeaway was no matter what your beef with CBS Sports is, you're not helping your program by projecting that way in a press conference. It looks small, it looks petty, no matter what the reasoning is, whether it's coaching rankings or an article here or this, that, and the other thing. Like, you got to be able to just handle that sort of stuff, and I don't think it sends the right sort of message. Maybe I'm looking into it too much, but what was your takeaway to that presser from Deion?
2 things. Number one, Deion is a thin-skinned guy, and a lot of coaches are in general. I think Spencer would agree with that. It's not the easiest profession, but at the same time, they have to take some lumps. In his defense, I don't disagree with Spencer's take. In his defense, sometimes these people that go to, and I deal with some of them, think they can write anything too. There needs to be common ground. The better thing would have been for Deion to call somebody. Somebody wrote something, whatever. You got to call them. Trying to embarrass somebody like that, like you said, it's not going to end well for either side. Because fair or not, there are people that are like CU alums that it's their favorite channel, or they work there, they have a friend there. It's not going to end well. And that's probably not going to help him long-term with his career. Not that Deion's worried about money or anything, but what kind of message are you sending? So it's probably a lot of fault to go around. And I've been told what the reason was, and I get why he's mad, but you can't do it that way. But at the same time, you shouldn't be shocked if you're CBS or anybody else. If you write something that's negative about a program, etc. You got to find a little meeting of the minds. Otherwise, this will just fester. This will just be the tipping point. If CBS or whoever that is comes back and they double down, this will go off a cliff. And that's what I'm afraid of, because Deion's not the kind of guy that's ever going to back down. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. I don't think he's not gonna roll over and just concede a point or give you something or anything like that. But I think when coaches go to the podium, Brian, at any time, after a game, before a game, media days, whenever you're speaking to a microphone, you should either try to make no news or say something that helps your program. Those should be the approaches, because anything else, I just don't see what the benefit is. It might feel good for Deion to snap at the guy if he's and look, I think he made a point to not make it personal with that reporter specifically, and I can appreciate that, but still, it doesn't project the sort of image that I think attracts high-level recruits. And yeah, it's Deion. Maybe he's just different, but I don't think that image is what you want for your program and how you want people to view you. And that stuff does matter.
Yeah, there's something to that. The elite recruits, maybe they do or don't want to go around that. I guess more or less. And he needs more of them, obviously, instead of just relying on the portal. And then again, like you said, with his own team, what does that convey? I don't know. He took it personally, and anytime you take it personal, it's probably not going to go well when you start off with a press conference, like, I'm not going to talk to you.
And even if it's valid, Brian, a personal grievance should not be aired in public.
100%.
It should be aired privately behind closed doors, even if it's 100% valid. Like, that's not the time, because I don't think that sends the right message to your players. I don't think it sends the right message to your donors as well. And look, the donors and everybody at Colorado might love him anyway because he brings in so many fans and makes the whole athletic department so much money. That's great. But I think it ratchets up the pressure on him to win, because if you don't win at the level that everybody wants, the calls for your job or for you to be relieved of your duties at that particular job I think they get amplified with remarks like this, and it's something that people will point to in Colorado. If you get to a point where Colorado boosters are saying, this was a fun experiment, we're not doing this anymore, this is the sort of thing they point to and say, well, yeah, and there was this instance, and there was that instance over there. It's not everything. I think it's one of many things that can stack up.
I couldn't agree more. And unfortunately, it'll end up being bad for all parties involved because whoever the next coach is, they're going to talk about this incident, and CBS will always be associated with it. Even people that had nothing to do with it aren't even working with CBS. That's the kind of thing when you, especially somebody as polarizing as Deion Sanders, that's really hard to overcome. So I hope no other coach in college football takes this approach with anything this year, although I wouldn't be shocked.
Brian Smith, our Lockdown Recruiting Insider here at the network. Brian, always appreciate the time and the insight, my man.
Thank you, sir.